Hey guys, my name is Moon and welcome back for more Umineko When They Cry episode 4. So last time it was a really good chapter. Anje doing her investigations there. It was really cool. We found out about the letters. We found out about, I guess, Sakotaro's animal plushie stuffed toy, right? It was right there. We could literally see it in the picture, right in the frame. And yeah, that was pretty cool. So we're back here now, 1986, and maybe we'll get some more information about the test that Kinzo wants. Let's continue and let's see what happens at test. Once again, there was a call from Kraus to the guest house, and the message was that Kinzo wanted to hold a test to see if the grandchildren had the qualifications to become his successor. From Krause's restrained style of speech, Jessica realized as his daughter that he was being forced to speak. And she was forced to realize that the hostages were being exposed to danger even now. And that if they refused this test, there was a possibility that the hostages would be harmed.
それで私たちはどうすればいいの?
待て。
Kraus put down the receiver, then looked at the grinning Kinzo on the other side of the bars. Kinzo gave his next order.
テストの前に無関係なものを排除しなくてはならない。ゴーダと熊沢がそこにいるのであろう。テストに干渉されては邪魔なのでな。彼らをゲストハウスより追放せよ。追放ですか。バラ庭園に園芸倉庫があったはず。そこへゴーダと熊沢を閉じ込めて施錠せよ。まずはそれからだ。直ちに遂行するように伝えよ。我が武具たちが監視する。疑わしい行為に及べばテストは直ちに中止し、お前たちすべてを生贄として処刑する。わかりました。もしもしジェシカ。今から父さんの言うことをよく聞きなさい。
Kraus relayed the orders to lock up Goda and Kumasawa.
どんなテストをなさるつもりですか?
実に簡単なテストだとも。孫たちの覚悟を見せてもらうだけだ。さて、どんな結果を見せてくれるのか。
Looking disgusted, Kirie watched Kraus, who was talking with the children. I hate it, but for now we cannot refuse orders. In this dungeon, a feeble resistance won't amount to anything. If we provoke him too much and drive him into a position where he might kill us, there will no longer be any way to stop this murder. For now, the only choice left is to obey his rules without agitating him. All the while waiting for an opportunity. However, if we continue to obediently follow his commands, the children might be attacked in this so-called test and they might even lose their lives. Whether we feign obedience or try to resist, nothing will cause the situation to improve. Anyway, straining our eyes so that we don't let a single chance escape until the very end is the only resistance possible now. While telling herself this, Akira watched over Kraus as he delivered Kinzo's orders.
キリエさん、ここは辛抱しましょう。
分かってるわ。悔しいけれど今は待つしかない。この鉄格子さえ何とかできれば私たちは屋敷へ戻ることができるんだから。
なんとかここを出られれば試してみましょう。金蔵さん、頼みがある。ん？何か我が友よ。金蔵さんが子供たちを試したいというのはよくわかった。金蔵さんの納得のいくようにするといい。金蔵さんの力がなければとっくに潰れていたかもしれない後ろ宮家だ。その担い手を慎重に選びたい気持ちよくわかる。それにそのための親族会議だ。私ら邪魔はせんよ。お前の理解が得られて助かる。そうだ、これは親族会議なのだ。私が次期当主を選び決定する最後の親族会議なのだよ。それでだが金蔵さん、ここはあまりに冷えすぎる。あんたのテストの邪魔はせんから、もう少し暖かい場所に移してもらうことはできんかね。
At Nanjo's words, the slight signs that Kinzo's mood had been improving were blown away. Sorry. Nanjo was struck with a moment of silence as Kinzo gazed at him with dangerous eyes as though appraising him.
確かにここは冷えますね。老体にはおつらいでしょう。親方様、上の部屋に移し替えても良いのでは。
それはできぬ。甘いぞ南條。お前は一手猶予を与えるような素振りで実に華麗に布石を打つではないか。その手には乗らんぞ。凍えるというなら真っ赤に焼けた石炭でも敷き詰めてやればよい。
Jesus.
申し訳ございません。
Virgilia had tried to help out, but in the end, Kinzo would not comply.
あなたたちはおとなしいのね。その気になればこんな鉄格子簡単に破れるでしょうに。
ここを破ったとて何もなりません。
Yeah, both of them, because even Kanon himself, right? He has a magic sword, magic blade. He could cut these bars if he wanted to.
確かにここを破ったならゴールドスミスのゲームが終わることを意味する。あなたたちも、そしてゲストハウスの人間たちも即座に金蔵の儀式の生贄となるでしょうね。
So I guess they were smart to not do anything, right? Because if they did this and they tried to escape, all of them would just be killed.
でも案外あなたたちだけかもしれないわよ。この状況を打開できる力を持っているのはね。黄金鏡にたどり着きたいんでしょ。叶えたい夢がいっぱいあるんでしょ。
ガープ、挑発はいけませんよ。これはあなたのゲームではない。親方様の、そしてお嬢様のゲームです。
どうしたロノウェイ。
いえいえ、何も。捕虜とおしゃべりをしていました。お許しを。
Gop sent one final sneering smile at Kanon, then turned away. Kanon only could bite his lower lip and shake his fist.
くそ。
よく頑張ったね。よく我慢したよ。
僕たちは無力だ。家具だから。
そうだね。私たちは無力。でも家具は必要とされることだって、そして愛されることだってあるよ。今の私たちは暗い地下室にしまわれているだけ。きっといつか誰かが愛してくれる、必要としてくれるから。だから今は挑発に乗らないで耐えようね。
お父さん、ゴーダたちを倉庫に閉じ込めるよう指示をしました。
よかろう。電話を切ってよい。シエスタ姉妹、孫たちがゴーダと熊沢を閉じ込めるのを監視せよ。もしも不審な動きがあるようならば、その時点で次期当主を選ぶテストは終了だ。
When Kinzo made his order, the Chester sisters appeared behind him in a line. Honestly, like, looking at them here, remember Maria had the porcelain dolls that Rosa gave her? And she had 4 rabbits, right? And yeah, we got 3 rabbits here. Rosa smashed one of them, so there were only 3 left. Okay. No, it's just what if the Chester sisters are Maria's little porcelain dolls that she was playing with? No, I'm just comparing them. Yeah, I just find it funny. That's why this other one is in the middle. Look at this, battle hardened.
了解であります。石膏は私がやる。556と410は両翼支援。45は全集警戒。
00-556は
556.
そうだった。
Wait. Understood, sir. I will scout 556 and 410. I will scout 556 and 410 will cover both flanks.
すまない。
いい子でした。
She was a good kid. I was just saying, right? Oh. So yeah, 556 was destroyed. Rosa destroyed that one.
だから私は嫌いに。
That's why I don't like them.
いいやつは。
何をしているか、シエスタ姉妹。
Okay, I guess you could say that they are the porcelain dolls of Maria. I guess.
我が命令を遂行せよ。
失礼しました。では、監視に向かうであります。出撃！
The Chester sisters erased their forms simultaneously. Nanjo and Kyrie had witnessed the instance. They appeared and disappeared as if by teleportation. But they interpreted this as moving in and out of darkness in a way that only looked like teleportation. And the two could do nothing but rub their eyes.
さて、私はテストの準備をしよう。ロノウェイ、ガープ、お前たちには試験官を頼む。ワルギリアはこやつらを監視するように。何しろ我が家具が2人いる。一応は警戒せよ。
He glanced at Shannon and Kanon. Tightly closing her eyes, Shannon gave a silent bow and answered wordlessly, avoiding any unnecessary actions.
かしこまりました。注意します。
リーヤの老体には寒くて辛くない？湯たんぽでも持ってくる？
うるさいです。早くお行きなさい。ガップ。
さてさて、テストとは、そして試験官とは、今回のゲームは変わった試みですね。お嬢様を楽しませる展開になると良いのですが。
さあさあおいでなさい、ヤギの従者たち。
Virgilia began to call out into the darkness, and from that spot, 3 massive goat-headed attendants suddenly appeared.
リーチェの眷属ね。
Beato's minions.
便利だわ。しかも暖かそうだし。ああ、湯たんぽの代わりね。なら、ヤギより羊の方がいいんじゃない？
Wouldn't sheep have been better than goats?
カシミヤ臓器のくせにうるさいですよ。彼らは賢くはありませんが、命令に忠実で強靭な頼れる従者たちです。
任せるぞ。我が友ワルギリアよ。
My friend.
残りの者は私と来い。
With a dignified gesture, Kinzo fluttered his cloak. Following him were Ronove and Gaap, as well as the 3 recently summoned goat attendants.
あなたたちは私と残るのですよ。ついていかないように。
The goats jumped in surprise and then came tottering back. Kyrie, who had been watching, stunned as all of this played out, couldn't help but snort.
愉快な部下ね。ゴールドスミス卿より死後の許可は与えられていませんよ。
She was probably embarrassed. Why is Virgilia acting like this though? Remember the ending in the 3rd episode? Like she was smiling, right? With her eyes wide open, and now she's like this again. Virgilia had spoken coolly, but Kyrie saw through that, and for a little while she couldn't restrain her muffled laughter. However, on the inside, Kyrie was surprised at the number of people Kinzo had with him. After all, including Kinzo himself, at least 10 enemies had already been spotted. The dungeon they were currently locked in was supposedly underneath the hidden mansion called Kuadorian. Although this mansion had been whispered of, and not even Kraus had known of its existence until today. Are there actually several facilities like this on Rokinjima, where many unknown henchmen that only Kinzo knows of hide? Just how many humans are in Rokinjima, locked away by the typhoon? No, on the contrary. Were we the only ones under the impression that there were only 18 people on this island? Were we who bickered over whether Beatrice existed or not, and worried about whether a 19th person existed or not? Nothing more than the frogs in a well on this island. No wait, not only that. By now, are there actually more people on the enemy side than on ours?
何が起こってるの？一体。
I don't know.
魔女？悪魔？魔法？それを信じろというの？おかしいのは私の目？それとも頭なの？頭がどうにかなりそうよ。
A mass murder by magic. And disappearing into thin air. Setting aside the enemy's numbers, how should we interpret the various things that thrust before our eyes that cannot be explained with the common sense of our world? Kyrie started to feel like she didn't know what was going on anymore. And while desperately battling the urge to abandon everything and give up, she grit her teeth and tried to hold on to her sanity. Obviously, Goda and Kumasawa were quite unwilling to be locked in the rose garden shed, but they were threatened that if they resisted, the hostages' safety could not be guaranteed. So it was fairly hard to get them to agree. But once they started thinking that their safety might actually be guaranteed if the key to the gardening storehouse was to be handed to them after being shut inside, and when it was decided that blankets and food would be carried in for them, they were finally convinced.
ここは寒々しいですね。私たちはいつまでここに閉じ込められていればいいのでしょうか。
下手をすると月曜の朝まで丸々一昼夜はいてもらうことになるかもしれない。本当にお二人には申し訳なく思うよ。
George and Butler cleared a space on the floor and spread the blankets there. They also left canned food, crackers, and other light snacks they had bought.
月曜の朝までを二人でこの量じゃ辛いな。せめて厨房に寄れたなら。
余計な場所には行くなと言われてる。私たちは監視されてるらしいしな。くそ。
何もお力になれないことを申し訳なく思います。こんな時に皆さんのおそばにいてこその私どもなのに。
仕方ないです。それより熊沢さんをよろしく頼みますね。何が起こるかわからない。いざという時は臨機応変に助けてほしい。そして何よりも無事でいてほしい。
ええ、分かっています。皆さんこそ気をつけてくださいね。今の親方様はまるで人の命をチェスの駒のように奪います。気をつけてください。
Goda stared at the floor even now, unable to believe what had happened as he remembered that atrocity in the dining hall, and he hung his head in shame at his failure to fully describe the terror.
ありがとう。くれぐれも注意してくださいね。熊沢さんも。
ジョージさんたちもくれぐれもご用心なさってくださいね。もう私には何が何やらさっぱりわかりませんとも。
それじゃあ僕たちは行きます。行こう、バトラ君、ジェシカちゃん。ほら、マリアちゃんも。
おー。
Looking at the pitiful expressions on the imprisoned pair's face, it got really hard to close the shutter. But we can't disobey. We're being watched. The shutter was brought down and locked. George walked towards a small window on the side of the storehouse. At that side, there was a small lattice window that could only admit light and ventilation. It looked like something from a jail, making the two of them seem even more pitiable. But on the other hand, it would hopefully protect them from Kinzo and his subordinates. He opened the window and called out,
大丈夫ですか？寒くないですか？
ええ。毛布をこんなにいただきましたからね。くるまっていればきっと平気ですよ。
石油ストーブとかを持ってくればよかったな。
ここじゃ換気できないからね。辛いだろうけど今は仕方がない。僕たちは人質を取られている。逆らえない。
畜生。なんとかキリエさんたちを救出することができれば。
かれてるかもしれないよ。ゴーダさん、これそのシャッターの鍵です。
George threw the key into the tiny window.
確かにお預かりします。
Gora took the key, showed it to Kumasawa, and placed it in his own pocket. There's only one key to the gardening shed shutter. That key was being held by the ones locked up inside it. If the children had kept it and had it stolen from them by some chance, that would do nothing but expose the lives of those in the shed to danger. And even with the key, the shutter could not be opened from the inside. So what happens? For example, everyone dies outside. What happens to them then? They cannot leave. What? Kinzo's demands were fulfilled this way. However, there was now no longer any way to open the shed from the outside either. This protected them. So Kinzo had ordered that they be confined, and we could do nothing but trust that this cold closed room would protect them. Jessica watched this while holding Maria's hand, and then looked over the tickets in the pitch black rose garden. Somewhere in this darkness, somebody was hiding, watching to see whether we obeyed orders or not. Of course, when we pointed our flashlights out there was no suspicious silhouettes appeared. But somebody was surely out there hiding and watching. I was hit many times with an urge to scream at them, but I was able to hold that urge back through reason. The 4 children left the area, repeatedly looking back over their shoulders. The light from the faint light bulb in the gardening storehouse was seeping out slightly. I wonder if this insane incident will come to an end somehow so that we can meet those two again. To George, who had closed the shutter himself, the resistance of the lock had made it feel as though he'd killed them with his own hands. I mean, yeah, if, for example, they did survive these 2 days, they would die later because they cannot get outside of this. If all the people are gone by then, right? They're gonna die slowly, and that's tragic.
それでも俺たちは逆らえないんだよな。
テストだと。クソじじいめ、ふざけやがって。それで母さんたちが殺されて父さんたちが捕まって、理解できねえぜ。ぶっ殺してやる。
大丈夫だよ、ジェシカお姉ちゃん。悲しくなんかないよ。
マリア。
もうすぐ魔女は蘇る。すぐに黄金鏡で会えるよ。あいて。
不謹慎なことで笑うんじゃねえぜ。何が魔女復活の儀式だ。妄想はじい様の頭の中だけにしときゃいいものを大勢巻き込みやがって。こいつは高くつくぜ。畜生め。
ゲストハウスに戻ろう。おじい様から電話があった際に不在だったらまずい。
Urged on by George, everyone began walking towards the guest house. At that moment, Jessica turned in a circle, facing towards the darkness of the rose garden, and roared.
おい！誰か見てんだろ！じじいに伝えとけ！絶対にぶち殺してやるってな！行こう。
Of course, there was no reply, only the howl of the wind and the rain. The children returned to the guest house, while fearing what was waiting for them up ahead. After they left, from the exact point in the darkness that Jessica had yelled at, the 2 rabbits' ears sprung up.
ごめんなさい。バレてました。 35がすっとろいからバレたに竜王様に怒られる。ごめんなさいごめんなさい。竜王様に言いつけるのは許してください。
黙れ静かに。
I wonder though, what happens if the Chester sisters encounter Maria? Because in the second game, or the third game, when they were first summoned, Maria and Rosa were gone already by then, right? So this time around, yeah, Rosa is gone, but Maria is still here. And if these Chester sisters are, or is really, what do you call this? An equivalent, or not equivalent, but what is the term for that? But basically, I think they are Maria's toys, right? So I want to see what reaction they're gonna do. But then again, they shot Rosa though, right? Yeah, they shot Rosa instantly. Or Maria herself, I wonder. Or Maria herself. Yeah, I wonder what they're gonna do.
どうせハッタリだ。
Because Maria was nice with them, right? Maria was playing with them, calling them her friends.
ゴーダと熊沢の監禁は確認した。任務完了。報告に戻るぞ。
イエーイイエーイ。泣いた。
連帯責任で人参と水だけの刑になりたいか。行くぞ。
The fact that they were being watched certainly seemed to be true. Because when they returned to the cousin's room, turned the lights on, and lay down on their beds, the phone rang again. Earlier, Jessica had been answering the phone and seeing as this was her house. But now it was the eldest, George, who picked it up. This time, Kirie-san was on the other end of the line. George handed it to Butler out of consideration.
もしもし、キリエさんか。そっちは大丈夫なのか。
心配をありがとう。今のところは快適よ。ごめんなさい。死後は慎めと命令されてる。今から伝えることをよく聞いて。
The fact that they were hostages still hadn't changed. Kinzo, or one of his subordinates, was listening to the conversation. Butler restrained the urge to talk about other things and focus on what Kirie had to
テ
say.
ストはジェシカちゃん、ジョージ君、バトラ君、そしてマリアちゃんの順で行われるそうよ。
So Jessica first, George, but Maria is the last one.
順番に呼び出すから、それまでその部屋を出ないこと。
This is gonna be so interesting, one by one.
呼び出された者は一人で指定された場所に向かうこと。
Butler repeated it loud so that the cousins listening in around him could hear.
ジェシカ、兄貴、俺、マリアの順で呼び出しがあるまで部屋にいろ。だな。わかった。マリアもなのかや。9歳の子にまでクソジジイは何を強いる気なんだ。畜生め。
後ろ宮家の命運はあなたたちに握られてるわ。頑張って。
うん。ああ。
Butler noticed a strange nuisance in Kirie's words. Even without any blood connection, he could still understand that thanks to the long-lasting bond they shared. At this point, it doesn't make sense to worry about the Oshinomiya family itself. That probably wasn't the message Kirie wanted to send. She probably meant that there's no way for us to escape from this dungeon and we can only be rescued. Our lives are in your hands. Something like that.
ああ、任せてくれ。どんなテストか知らねえが上等だぜ。 受けて立ってやら。本気のテストなんだよな。マジにやっちまっていいんだよな。
ええ、本気のテストよ。おじい様も本気で試すつもりでいるわ。
ダメだな。死にかけの老いぼれが俺と本気？寝言は棺に入ってから言いやがれ。そこにいるジジイに言っとけ。次期当主は俺だ。その最初の仕事はてめえの面に鉄拳ぶち込んでやることだってな。
Even without Kinzo, or even Kinzo, even without Kairi having to repeat it, Butler's powerful declaration of war reached Kinzo's ear.
バトラー、それは実に楽しみであるぞ。一度は後ろ宮の名を捨てた男が何を身につけ
This is gonna be interesting.
何の境地に至って我が前に現れるというのか楽しみにしている。そう伝えよ。
So basically, yeah, the order is, I guess, oldest. No, was it Jessica first? I think it was Jessica first, right? Let me see again the order. I was not really like Jessica, Aniki, me. Okay, so it's Jessica then George. Not older, but based on, I guess, the parents. Jessica to Kraus, George to Ava, then Butler to Rudolph, then Maria to Rosa. Therefore, Kirei spoke for him.
大いに上等だそうよ。いい？バトラ君。手加減は不要よ。あなたはルドルフさんの息子。いいえ、私の息子よ。誰に自慢しても恥ずかしくないところを私にも見せてちょうだい。あなたに全てを託すわ。
了解だぜ、母ちゃん。あとは任せておけ。
母ちゃん。
私たち全員は当主跡継ぎの資格を失っている。もう私たちは取られてゲーム版から外された駒も同然よ。だからあなたたちだけで戦って。
キリエさ
ん。The nuance of those words was, we've already given up. So forget about us. But for that very reason, I won't give up. I'll definitely crush this test or whatever and save everyone.
それでは、一番最初のジェシカちゃんへのテストの指示よ。自分の部屋へ行けですって。
Go to your room.
自分の部屋？
お屋敷のジェシカちゃんの自室って意味のよね。
ジェシカに代わる。
Then imagine that Jessica's gonna walk outside by herself.
直接伝えてやってくれ。ジェシカ。
もしもし。はい。わかりました。私からか。もう覚悟決めたぜ。行ってくるぜ。
Even Jessica was probably tempted to succumb to fear of a girl her age, but she crushed those feelings and strengthened her resolve.
用心してね。
What's George here?
私たちは監視されてんだろ。余計なこともできない。言いなりになるしかないさ。
食堂でジジイは何のためらいもなく瞬く間に6人を殺したという。それは俺たちに対しても同じかもな。
Yeah, you gotta play the game. You can't just attack him.
わかってる。返り討ちにしてやるぜ。
無茶はダメだよ。危険だと思ったら自分を最優先にして。クラウスおじさんが自分のために娘が犠牲になったことを知ったら胸が張り裂けてしまうに違いないから。
逆も同じだぜ。父さんと母さんが殺されて、私だけが生き残ったら、私の胸だって張り裂けるぜ。
バトラ君、さっきの話は本当だよね。
ああ、キリエさんたちはもう覚悟を決めている。
なら、なおのこと上等だぜ。みんなの命は私たちの双剣にかかってるってことだ。人質みんなは囚われの身で何もできない。なら、私たちが何とかするしかねえんだぜ。
もし何かあったらゲストハウスに逃げ戻って。その時点で僕たちがおじい様のゲームに付き合うのは終了だ。
兄貴。
その時点で僕たちは宣戦布告。どこかに閉じ込められている彼らを救い出し、おじい様には叱るべき処遇を与える。
いいのか、兄貴。シャノンちゃんもいるんだろ。
だからといって僕は座して婚約者が殺されるのを待ちはしないよ。僕が恐ろしいのは、おじい様にシャノンが殺されるかもしれないことに怯える僕の婚約者に恐怖を味わわせたクソじじいを、君らが僕より先にぶん殴っちまうことだけさ。
Look at George's face here, so serious.
なるほどな。
Even Jessica.
確かにこいつは、次期当主が誰かを決めるってテストらしいぜ。
だな。クソじじいの顔面に一番最初に拳をお見舞いしたやつが次の当主だぜ。
George, Butler, and Jessica each forcefully nodded their heads and put their fists together. Then Jessica headed off to her own room as designated. Her form disappeared into the darkness of the rose garden, waving in the strong winds. Watching her go, George and Butler gripped their fists even tighter, making them quiver. Left on the second floor, Amaria watched Jessica's back through the window. She wore a blank expression.
みんなは何を息巻いてるのかな。ベアトリーチェが蘇れば、みんな生き返らせてもらえるのにね。
Jessica's form was already being completely swallowed up by darkness. At that time, the phone began to ring again. Butler and George heard it and came clamoring back, but Maria picked up the receiver right away.
もしもし。マリア様ですか？シャノンです。ジョージ様に代わっていただけますか？
This time it was Shannon on the phone, and this time the message was to tell the next person, George, where he was to go. Also, I thought it was like Jessica first, and then after Jessica, you're next. So it's they're doing it at the same time, I guess. Yeah, pretty much at the same time. Of course, since the time of her birth, Jessica had been raised in this mansion. The outfitted Western-style house that the cousin called a mansion was her home. And yet she had never understood her cousin's feelings as much as she did today. And at the same time, she had never felt her own home, at which she knew well to be as alien as it seemed now. Her own room. This once had been her hideaway, the only place in this vast mansion where she could feel at peace. However, she had never felt as much pressure coming from that door as she did right now.
テストだって。
Okay, so I guess we'll start this test next time. But let me check the characters as we haven't seen the other ones. Witch's side. No, okay, Anji's side here. Anji's side. Here. Yeah, I wanted to read this one. Nanjo Masayuki. Nanjo's son took over the Nanjo clinic. Unlike Nanjo, he gives a slightly dispassionate, indifferent impression. After the commotion surrounding Rokkenjima, he grew to completely despise the press, and never again did he attempt to speak of what had happened at the time. He used to have a daughter who was afflicted with an intractable disease, but unfortunately, she wasn't able to live out her natural lifespan. Kumasawa's son works at the Nijima fishing harbor. He must have gotten his carefree, big-hearted personality from Kumasawa. I mean, literally, you can see that she is her son. Look at the facial and the eyes. Similar, right? When they're smiling. Kumasawa had many sons, and a number of them were from land as fishermen or away from land. It was purely coincidence that it was possible to come into contact with him, as he happened to be involved with a fishing harbor. Hopes are on him that he might have heard chatty Kumasawa let something important slip by, but nothing else. Captain Kawabata, an old man who used to captain the high-speed boat that went to Rokkenjima and back. It is beyond a doubt that of the existing survivors, he is one of those who know the most about Rokkenjima. From various comments by the servants who used to go to and from the island, the media hoped that he might be quite knowledgeable about the internal affairs of the Ushirimiya family. However, he would say nothing, and so they eventually began to forget the old man. Okay. So I thought the test would be... Yeah, like I thought it was gonna be one by one. So Jessica, I thought it was gonna be like Jessica, and then when her test finished, it's gonna be George next. But as we could see earlier, Jessica went there to her room, and then George was called up next already. So let's see how this test is gonna go. And yeah, what kind of test? But I think it's gonna be... I don't think Kinzo can go to each of them. Maybe he would go to them maybe like one by one then leave. But it's probably gonna be like one of the children, and then they're gonna be facing maybe one of the furniture Kinzo, right? One of his furnitures right here. So we have Virgilia is underground though in the dungeon, right? So we got Gop, we got Ronove, we got the Chiester sisters. We'll see. We'll see how they do the test. But yeah, the Chiester sisters earlier, when she was mentioning the other one, what number was it? 556, and then the other one said, "Oh, that one she..." Like they cut it off, right? And then Double O was like, "Oh yeah." So it means that the other one died. So as Maria had 4 of those rabbits, right? Remember that? That Rosa took, and she smashed one of them. So that's why it was gone. So yeah, I think the Chester sisters represent those porcelain dolls that Maria had. So that is a pretty cool, another pretty cool, I guess, what do you call the interpretation to that, you can say. But yeah, how about the other characters though then, right? What are the equivalent of characters like Gaab, or do they have anything in the real world? Sakutaro, we just saw his body, or not his body, but at least another of the Sakutaro plushies last time. Honestly, this episode, first half of this episode was full of stories, full of backgrounds, and this second half full of mysteries. Sure, not that much, I guess not that much action yet. Sure, we had something like with Maria and Rosa, but I think it's gonna be starting now. This test is not gonna be like them just talking for sure. It's gonna be much more. And for this episode, we don't really have a lot of the not mystery, like investigation, I guess. Remember Butler always had this investigation between him and Beato, and she would say the red fruit. But yeah, this time not that much. We only had one when Butler got the blue truth, but since then we haven't used it again. It's been a long time. It's been a while since we've ever had that investigations yet again with Butler there, the meta world Butler. Very different this episode again. compared to the third one. And I like it, the way the storytelling. I like how different it is. But anyways, we're gonna continue this and do more of Umineko When They Cry episode 4 in the next one. So I'll just see you then, guys. Bye bye.